Today we're going to talk about Unreal's built-in system for versioning up shots in Unreal Engine. It's called Takes, and we're going to see how we can combine it with the VFX naming conventions that I've historically been teaching.
Hey, welcome to Real Time Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get in the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road.
Alright, welcome back to Real Time Workflows. Let's talk about shot versioning and what we understand it to be, and then we're going to talk about what we think about takes. Over here I've got an edited sequence I've been making. Now remember, an edited sequence in Unreal Engine is just a level sequence with a shots track. It could still have all the same components of a normal level sequence. It's an edit, and for me, the edits I always just call them. I give it the shot number 000, which denotes for me an edit of that sequence. And you see I've got various shots. I've got the soldier in this who's chained to his bunk, and he hears some commotion outside. You've seen bits of this already. And this is an edit, and you'll see that I'm using my versioning system. You see there it says 039 120, so it's scene 39, shot 120, PIV for previs, and version 002. That's my naming convention. If we go to this shot here, which has got, actually there's two versions of this, so I'm on version 2, and I historically how you switch these versions and how I create them is by, I would come into here. If I want to create a new version of this shot, I would come into it, I click on the magnifying glass to open it in the content browser, I right click on it and I duplicate it, and I give it a new version number, so this would be version 3, and you can see I did that here to create a version 2. I also did that in the last video. Now if we would come to our edit, we can click on here and we can right click, and we can see that this is how we're going to switch it. We're going to go to properties, and we can drop down here to pick the subsequence that we're using, and I could switch it back to version 1 if I wanted to. So now it's become version 1, and you can see that's the old version, and I could change it back if I want to the exact same way. Now there's also this takes here. So for this shot, it thinks I've got 2 take ones. Now takes is the built-in system for versioning. But obviously it's not working very well right now, is it? It thinks I've got 2 take ones, and the starred one indicates that I'm actually using them both when I'm not. So it's called my take 2, take 1. So let's break down what takes are, and in this context, obviously Unreal Engine also records takes from take recorder. They're related, but they're not really the same thing. So we'll break down how to use them and how we can make them fit with our naming convention here. So if I go to my content browser, let's just take a look. I'm going to create a shot. Let's assume we weren't using a versioning convention, right? So let's say I'm going to create a shot 500, and I'm not going to give it a version number. Let's say we're creating shot scene 39, shot 500 PRV with no version number, all right? And now if I were to put that into my edit, so I'm going to add shot 500. There it is. Okay, now I've added a shot 500. Now, let's say I'm going to use the Unreal version of this, and I'm going to create a new take. So I go new take, and it will create me. It will suggest that it suggested a new naming convention entirely. Look, all right, because it's confused about how we're doing it. It wants to see an underscore in 2 digits. So an Unreal accurate naming convention for this might be underscore, let's say 01, and that's our first one. So now if we went back to our sequencer, we can see the name has changed. Now we can go right click and we can go new take, and now it wants to call a new take 02, which is great. And functionally, that's all we need to do. We hit save, and now, rather than going through the rigmarole of going up here to change the vert, to change it here, we can now go to our takes, and we've got take 1, take 2, and the one that we're using is starred. And that's a nice, easy system to use. The problem is that it's not having an underscore and a 02. It's not a professional naming convention. It also doesn't jive with all the others that I've got. For example, if I wanted to change it on here, as I said earlier, we've got these weird takes. So let's fix it so that it works with our naming conventions. So if we go to our project settings and we type take in here, we can see we've got this shots editor level sequences, and we've got shots, and we've got first take number digits, first take number, and take separator. So if we were to simply change this to 3 and underscore V, now we can come back to our edit, and because I've changed the naming convention that it's looking for, I can actually use I can right click on this shot and I go to takes, and I've now got a take 1 and a take 2, and it's recognizing the V underscore numbers. So now I can change that back to V2, and now that's what I want. And at the same time, if I need to make a new version of this, I do a new take. It's asking me if I want to create a version 3, which I do, so hit save. And it changes this now to version 3 and creates me a version 3 in the folder structure where my version 2 was, which is exactly what I want. So previously, if I want to create a new version number, I would open this shot up, I would navigate to where it is, I would right click, I would duplicate it, I would approve the name, then I would come back to my sequence, back here, and right click and update it here, and then I can kind of click through and work on it. Whereas with this system, I can right click and just go new take. But by the same token, I can also just be in here and I could go, oh, actually I need to create a new version. Maybe I've had a note on shot 140, I need to create a new version. What I don't need to do is open up my edit, which is where I get access to the takes, and then create a take and come in. I can just do it straight from my content browser. I could just go, I'm gonna create a new version of 140. I'm gonna go duplicate. We're gonna call it version 2, which it does automatically. So we approved that, and then I could open that up and start editing it. But then when I eventually go to my edit, I go, oh, where's 140? There it is, and I could just go, oh, I did a new version of that. So go to takes, and it's take 2. Okay, so by changing the settings in the editor preference in the project settings, it means that we can use both. We can use the normal version where we're creating shots and naming them as we want to name them, but we can also set it so that we can use this quite dynamic system. When we get into the edit and we've got shots, we're making changes here and there, it's quite quick and easy to just right click and go, right, new take of that, quickly go in, change it. It's already updated in the edit. All I need to do is make my change and come back out, and I'm working completely non-destructively. So that's how I'm using takes now in Unreal Engine when I'm creating edits of my sequences. I hope that helps. Any questions, let me know. Please like, subscribe, and all that shit, and we'll talk to you in the next one.